Hello, this is going to be a video about how I've basically modified this tumble dryer so that it turns on when the electric is half price, because we're on a economy 7 tariff, which means that for 7 hours of the night the electric is half price to what it is in the rest of the day. Right, so basically with this tumble dryer, first of all, how I was going to have it is, so what we've got our main consumer unit here, and then about here we've got a secondary consumer unit which is only ever live when the electric's cheap. So for example, right now when the electric is expensive, the bottom consumer unit is not live at all, because the meter isolates it. So what I was going to do was just have the tumble dryer plugged into the secondary consumer unit, put a timer inside the tumble dryer so that for the first 1 second that it is applied power, it presses the start button. But then I thought, well, you know, what happens if you want to use it in the day? If you're in a rush, you'll have to unplug it from one plug, plug it into another. It'll be a bit of a pain. So then what I thought of doing was having 2 plugs on the back of it. One which would be live all the time, and a second one which would be plugged into the secondary consumer unit to give it a start signal. Which is basically what I've done. I could have done it like that, but I had this load shifter unit anyway, which I'm going to use in the future for doing similar things around the house. So I decided to use this paddle. I mean, obviously it is quite big. I didn't have to use this, but I did use it. So basically with this tumble dryer, this socket up here is live all the time. It goes via this meter, because it's handy to know how much electricity usage the actual tumble dryer is taking, and it is a lot compared with the rest of the house. And then out of the meter it's into this plug which goes into the tumble dryer. So if I had clothes in there, what I do is set the timer. Set the timer, select low or high, and then press start. When I open the door, it turns off. If I close the door and want it to start, I have to press start again. So I could set that timer, and it's not a mechanical timer, it's an electronic timer, which means it won't turn by itself. You need to actually press the start thing for it to start turning round. So what happens is, after the modifications I've made, what will happen is you put your clothes in it, close it, select low or high, select the amount of time you want it on for, let's say an hour and a half, but then you don't press start, you just leave it. And then this load shifter unit, basically, it's got a constant live, so it's live all the time, and then it's got a secondary live, which it gets from a plug which is connected to the secondary meter. So when the electric's cheap, this thing knows about it. So at the moment the electric's expensive, which is why the red light's on. When the electric becomes cheap, the green light comes on. And for the first couple of seconds after the electric becomes cheap, it sends a 1 second pulse which basically flicks a relay which I've put inside this dryer, which is the equivalent of pressing the start button. So yeah, I'm going to demonstrate that now. What I've done, this is the plug here that this is the plug that is usually plugged into the secondary meter. I've unplugged that from there and just plugged it into this socket, which means that when I turn this on, the load shifter is going to think that the electric is cheap. So first of all, I'll turn the dryer to off, and then I'll show you what the front panel does and the sounds it makes. So, get this thing out of the way, turn it on. There we go. So, what happened there was, obviously, first of all, the green light came on, and then there's the timer inside here, which after 1 second switches a contactor, which is the sound you heard. Then after 1 second, unswitches it. So when that contactor is making the sound, it's supplying some electricity to the relay inside here, and the COM and normally open contacts short across this start button. So if I set this timer to say 50 minutes, as you can see there, and do that again, when the load shifter goes the tumble dryer will switch on. Get it so you can see it. And as you can hear, it started the tumble dryer. So it's actually really simple, very simple system. I will at some point do a video of the insides of this panel. I'm going to get some of my own labels for the front here printed, because this control unit used to be for an air conditioning system at a building that was demolished. It is not anymore. I'm also going to have probably this switch here to do the basically to override the economy 7 signal. So off would be when the electric's cheap, this does nothing. On would be even if the electric isn't cheap, this will think it is. And auto will be as it works normally, which is it thinks the electric's cheap when it is cheap, and when it isn't, it knows it isn't. These indicators I had to fix myself, because basically the old ones, what it is, it's a transformer in a little cylinder housing, and it's got a light bulb holder at the end, 6-volt light bulbs. But I didn't have any 6-volt light bulbs, and all the old ones were blown. I didn't see the point in getting any more, just for them to blow again a few years down the line. So what I did was took the holder off and just soldered some LEDs to the 6-volt contacts. So these are actually LED indicators now. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Can't think of anything else. Obviously, if the dryer is already at 0 and the load shifter tries to start it, nothing happens. So that's good. It means that, you know, because if that started just then obviously we're not going to use tumble dryer every night, so that would mean that fire risk basically. Yeah, this video is getting on for about 10 minutes long. It's going to take ages to upload because it's HD, so I better get off. Thank you for watching. Leave comments, suggestions and stuff like that. Goodbye.